Good morning, and good morning. How are you? I'm still cold. I don't know how you are where you're at, but it's still a little chilly here. And this morning I had to get up and take my car into the shop to have a little service done. And usually my car, when it's cold, acts like I am. If the thermostat ain't at the right temperature, it's not good. But this morning it didn't do that, and we were at 48 degrees, and it acts up only when I guess it's in the 30s. So anyway, I got the car in the shop. I have my coffee. I am warm. I have my little heater on behind me, and I am not bored. That's today's word. We're looking at a word that deals with boredom. There's so many of us that don't find, any happiness, any reason to be content or satisfied with where we are in our present state, regardless of what it is. I make it a point not to get depressed, finding something that makes me laugh, going places that just give me some excitement, having conversation with people that give me a side, an argument, or give me an opportunity for a position of something. So, but I know there is this word that we're going to talk about today. And I love the word because it's an unusual word because it's no way. Hey, Debbie. Hi, sweet pea. How are you? Good to have you in the space this morning. Let me know how things are and what, if there's anything I can do, anything, let me know. But today our word is ennui, and it's ENNUI, ennui. Ennui is just an unusual. Thank you. Thank you so much. I've been down with a cold, but I'm back up. I bounce back up. Remember those rock'em sock'ems? Okay, I'm telling my age. But anyway, rock'em sock'ems. I remember my brothers had them, and you could knock it all around and it could get up. It would not. You could not make it lay down. It just wouldn't. Things are going very well. Thank you all for. Oh, absolutely. We've been putting up the prayers. Putting up the prayers. But ennui is this word. It doesn't look. It doesn't. It's not spelled anything like it. We would think it would be. I would think it would be like AN-WE. And it does give like a French flair to it, but it's ENNUI, ennui. So we're going to talk about that in a minute. But how many of us have found periods, especially maybe long holidays or, at work and you can't stand where you're working at, or with people that you don't really get along with? There is sometimes this thing called boredom, and how boredom has a tendency to give us that ennui kind of existence, which talks about I'm bored. I don't have anything to do. I'm not liking anything that's around me. I can't even make up my mind on what I want to eat, where I want to go, who I want to be around. Or you find yourself or others that are bored and are going through this period of ennui where they're absolutely just out of it. No conversation for anybody, no smiles, disengagement, kind of aloof, and we'll talk about those things in a minute. But I found this poem that talks about I'm bored. And if you've ever been bored, sometimes I am, especially if I've worked too hard at something and then all of a sudden I'm done with it. And then there's that void, that period of, okay, so what's next? What else am I supposed to be doing now? I finished this thing I had been working on. And I remember when I finished my doctorate, there was a period where there was like this void for me. I didn't know what to do next. I wasn't sure of how to go about living life beyond what I had been working on. And they said sometimes you will find that in things that you really put 100%, 200% in something, that once it's over, there's almost a period of depression, anxiety, detachment, you can't get it back into a motion of moving forward because you're stuck. You're stuck. They said Buzz Aldridge had that same feeling of almost boredom and detachment after he returned from going out in space, and he came back, and it was almost like, this is the pinnacle of things done. I've done something that most people in the world have not done and will not do, but I've done it. What's left for me? What's next? And so sometimes that's what, after you've done something major, you have a major climax. You don't know how to move on. And so I found this poem by Catherine Sessor, and that's Sessor, found it on the internet, called I'm Bored. And it says, I'm bored to death. Can that be even true? Well, I am still alive. I need something to do. I gotta find some interest, but I don't know what. I can't think of anything. My mind's door is shut. That's perfect. That's a perfect example of ennui. What we have a tendency to realize that we get from not getting involved in doing something. We have a tendency to just say, oh well, I'm just going to sit here on the couch all day, or I'm going to drink, or I'm going to just do nothing. I can't do it. Everybody that knows me knows that when I stop moving around and finding things that interest me, excite me, engage me, I'm probably sick, or I hope I never be sick in my head like that. But usually it's I'm sick in my body, where my body just physically doesn't have it going on, like that cold I'm just getting over. But here's the deal, ennui, and that's ENNUI, is a feeling of boredom and dissatisfaction. How many of us have gone through that, where we're just kind of bored, kind of dissatisfied with whatever's going on? It may be the TV is boring, people are boring, and you've become boring. It is what is true. So it talks about being, the synonyms of ennui is boredom, restlessness. How many of us have been restless? Me, me too. Restless, doldrums, lethargy, torpor, uncertainty, saneness, because I think there's also a period of insaneness when we're bored, where we just go to crazy. We just don't know what else to do. Good morning, Cheryl and Carney. I know you're around there. Good morning, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today our word is ennui. It sounds like AN-WE, but it's spelled ENNUI, ennui. So that's a new word. And it also talks about when we might be cheerlessness and dispiritedness. Those are all the synonyms that go along with ennui. Are we people that's an ennui? Sometimes we may be. We just don't need to stay there. We might go there temporarily, but we do not need to stay there. So my E, when I break the word down and I ask you, are you stuck this morning? Are you having a period of ennui where you don't know what to do? You're disengaged, you're, aloof, you're doing whatever, but you're not, feeling like you want to be wherever you are or doing things with whoever you're with. And that's the way it is. Erase. Oh, come on now. That's a good word. Sometimes we need to erase where we've been and what we've been involved in. But thank you, Dave, for that. So my E is for emotionless. Emotionlessness. Okay, you got to put that ness on there. It says showing or having no emotion. How many people have you said hello to and you work with them and they don't speak? It's possible. It is very possible. So emotionless talks about you might have this period of being static, emotional, where you're in your own emotions and emotion and not in anyone else's. Where sometimes there's even a calmness that comes over you that other people are uncomfortable with. You're calm, they're uncomfortable with your calmness. Sometimes it happens to us. It says we may be stoic, we may be pathetic or apathetic, meaning we can't get involved in it. So you having a breakdown, sorry. Okay. Detached. Something's going on, but we're not even involved in it. It's like, okay, yeah, they'll fix it. They'll figure that out. I'm not in it. Okay. It also says enigmatic, boredom. There's that word again. Unresponsiveness. How many of us have been having conversations with people that don't talk? Okay, that means it's just you in the conversation. They're not there. They're not interested. It also talks about unsentimental, eagerness. Oh, yes. Eagerlessness. Yes, that's right. You're eager, they're not. That's right. That's right, Debbie. It says, oh, thoughtlessness, meaning they're not, they give it no thought that you might be going through something and needing to talk, and they don't see any usefulness of that. They have no need for it. It says, once again, that they're aloof. They may be deadpan. I always used to remember my teacher talking about deadpan. And I said, well, that's a weird word and whatever. But it was also not just in the fact that they may not give you an exit. That's right, stage left. They may not give you an opportunity to get in the conversation, but then they also give you the look. And so we also associated deadpan with the look of blankness. You're not involved. Whatever's going on, it's like, man, I don't have anything to do with that. It says they may be vacant, meaning, usually when something is vacant, that means there's nothing there. So can you imagine having that kind of friendship where nothing is there? You're not really in a conversation. You're not really even in a relationship, but you're struggling with it. Enough. Yeah, when you've had enough. Because sometimes let's face it, we've had enough, even with ourselves. That's why we may take a nap. My mother always used to say, whenever she felt that we were getting on each other's nerves as children, she said, y'all need to go in there and just take a nap. Take a break. Or one go one way, one go another way. And I think I always told you all that whenever something was bothering me, I would just get a book and go disappear. I would find something to read, even if I didn't know all the words. I'd make up words, but I would go and we had this closet, and it was almost like an ENNUI, but the closet was it was really just just freestanding, and my parents had it up against the wall, but I was little enough where I would just go sit in the bottom of the closet with a flashlight and a book. And that's what I did whenever I had gotten on everybody's nerves. And I was a baby, so I wanted to know more than they wanted to tell me. I was nosy, just a nosy kid. I asked questions. I was trying to figure out the rank of us because we were looking at the older children versus the younger children. We were the younger children, and I was the baby. So here I was saying, well, I don't understand that because mommy had me and Maddie, which is my oldest sister, had Eddie. So I was trying to figure out, well, how does this work? Okay. Because I can't be an aunt and I'm only a week apart from my nephew. Those are the kind of things. My mother said, go sit down. Go find something to do. Become bored. So get into your ennui. But I didn't understand it. I was just trying to figure it out. So anyway, when we move on in the word of ennui, my E was for emotionlessness. My N is for numb. Sometimes you will find people that are numb to whatever's going on. They don't want to be involved. They're not going to be involved. You cannot, no matter what you say or do, will bring them in on a conversation that they want nothing to do with, or a project or anything. That is just how they are. So numb meaning that they are deprived of feeling or responsiveness. They realize ain't nothing I can do with this. This is kind of, dead for me. I'm not interested. Okay. Nevertheless, that's good. Nevertheless, I will still move on. I love that. Non-attentive. Okay, Debbie. Okay, Cheryl, y'all throwing it down today. Yes. Non-attentive and nevertheless. Because nevertheless is still going to go on, even if, it's limited in terms of how many participate. And the other thing is non-attentive. How many of us have had boyfriends, husbands, girlfriends, wives, friends, and nobody pays attention to you? Your children, they all do it, and they have a way of doing it, which makes it's being done. But they kind of like, right now I'm gonna be numb to my mom, be numb to my husband. I ain't into this, I don't want to do that. I'm not going there. I can't stand those people. All those things that we say in our head that may never materialize into it being vocal. But it talks about numb being, deadening. But how many of us have had, deadening silence? Well, it's already dead. So if it's silently dead, that means it's dead probably indefinitely. They're not into it. Null and void. Oh, Carly said, tell Carly, that's it. Null and void. Wonderful. That's a great word. Null and void, meaning, or laissez-faire. Laissez-faire is French, and it also talks about have nothing to do with it. I'm not going to deal with it. They usually use it in business, but in life, it still has application to me. It makes sense. So numb also talks about something that being anesthetizing, meaning, okay, don't worry about this, I got this. And so anesthetizing, usually when you're anesthetized, that means you're probably going to be dead to it because, in the medical field, that means that you're under, you're not even present with it. You're not going to chime in. You're not involved. It's just, that's it. Then it also talks about paralyzing, how when we're numb to things, we may be paralyzed to even deal with them. Glacial, meaning cold, just absolutely cold, not dealing with it at all. Arctic and polar, all of those say cold, cold, cold to me, okay? Meaning they're not a part of anything that you want to deal with, we move on in our word of ennui, we talk about normal. What is normal? Now, we may find things that some people do as being abnormal, but that is their normal. Okay, how many of us have met people where, we smile, they don't smile. We say hello, they don't say hello back. That is their normal. And they're very comfortable in their positions. Just like we're comfortable in doing what we do, they're comfortable doing what they do. So normal talks about conforming to a standard. It's usual, it's typical, and in some instances, it should be expected or is expected. Meaning I know I'm going to say hello to them anyway, even though I know they won't say hello back. Okay. You're used to it. You know what will happen. And so when something is normal, that says it's usual, it's standard, it's pretty much stock, common sense, common knowledge. It's a regular for them and you. It says it's something that's been established. Like once you know people and once you know a situation, you have to guess about it. It is what it is. There's no sense in trying to make it be, beautiful and that there's some ugliness to it, and it might be they're beautiful because some people take a lot of private happy with making people uncomfortable with who they are. I'd rather just avoid them. I don't want to put them or myself in a position where we're uncomfortable. Just make it where I'm good. You be good, I'm good too. And it says normal talks about prevailing. That means it is what it is. And unremarkable, nothing out of the ordinary for them, even though it might be out of the ordinary for us and our reaction to it. That's what it is. We move on in our word of ennui. We talk about it. So far, we have that the ennui tells us that there's probably emotionlessness. We're numb to certain things. It's become our normal. But this one is the one that got me. With the you, I said it's unflappable. They are unflappable. And unflappable, he said nonsense. I love it, Debbie. That's true. It is nonsense. Unflappable says having or showing calmness in crisis. How many of you ever seen somebody, everybody else is going off the bells and the whistles and people are screaming or crying or something's going on. And then you look over at somebody and they're in complete control. Like it's not happening. It's no big deal for them. It is what it is. So it says when somebody is doing that, it says they are unperturbable. They're unexcitable. They're cool. How many of us have met cool people? I have. Most of the time when I think of cool, I'm thinking kind of suave, kind of, got it all together. Something sharp about them. They're on point. But in this instance, it's like we don't know how to accept them or involve ourselves with them because they've put themselves on the cusp or the exterior of coming in and being friendly or being welcoming and acknowledging and all that. They're not interested in that. It says that they're calm, they're collected, and they're cool. They're controlled. How many of us met controlled people? They're only going to say so much. I mean, I used to have a friend that you ask them a question and all they could do was answer in one word. No matter what you asked them, it was one word. Yep. Nope. Maybe. Simple. And I always wondered, well, how do you think and be able to have a full conversation if everything is only one word? And then one day it just dawned on me. They really didn't want to have conversation. Although they accepted you as a friend and that you could talk, but you almost after a while realized that you were talking for yourself and to yourself. And occasionally they may smile or have something to say, but it was limited in how many words would come out. Okay. It was very limited. So unflappable means that, that a person is calm, collected, controlled, cool-headed, relaxed. They could be stoic and unmoved. No matter what's going on, they're just not into it. No matter what, that's a person with great nerves to me. Because if somebody's sick or somebody is needing something, I guess that's my counselor background as I respond. But I've been around people, no response whatsoever. It's like, okay, look, somebody will help them. Somebody will get to it. It's all good with me, and no big deal, big deal. Unadaptable. Okay. Yes, that's very good, Debbie. Because sometimes we have to realize that no matter how well we've adjusted, other people may be unjustified or unwilling to adjust to whatever it is that we're thinking or doing or dealing with. And the last one I have, yay, for ennui is indifferent. How many of us have met people that are just indifferent? What did he say? Relatable. Okay. Sometimes we have to realize that people are unrelatable. Okay, yeah, I was giving, but yeah, you need unrelatable. Yeah, no matter what, they're not going to engage. They're not interested. And I find no trouble with that because I'd rather it be that they don't give anything towards a conversation that they feel isn't going anywhere. But the other thing on that is the individuals that still go in and think they're going to force them and make them come out with information. It doesn't work like that. It really doesn't. Good morning, Shari. How are you? Good to have you in the space this morning. Today, our word is ennui. And ennui means that they may be in an environment of boredom, unengagement, detachment, aloofness, all those kinds of things. So far we've gone down with the words that I used, and you can look in the thread there and see that other people use some other stuff. But I used emotionless, numb. Sometimes people that's their normal. Don't try to move them off their normal. Unflappable. No matter what you say or do, they're unchanging, thought provoking. No, it is what it is. Here's where I am. That's where I'm going to stay. Um, and on the last letter that I have for I have indifferent, which is lack of interest, concern, or sympathy. Have you ever met people who have none of those qualities? They're not interested, they're not concerned, and they have no sympathy for what's going on. And so to me, if those are your friends or even part of your family, then you know how much you can engage them into worry, concern, involvement with what's happening. And to me, that's the way that I deal with life, is that you understand that some people, oh, Debbie wrote idiots. And they may be, I'm not gonna, not let you identify who they may be, but it's interesting because sometimes you find out that that's who people are. They're just not going to conform to what I call civility, where they're nice and pleasant and willing to assist everybody into a place of being comfortable. Some people really live on the edge of making sure that they stay and remain different. If you say it's up, they're going down. If you say it's left, they're going right. Or we might be right and they're going left. Okay, we might be right and going up. They say no, go down. You just have to understand that we don't control other people, but we can learn enough about ourselves and understand our reactions to those kind of personalities. That's who they are. So when someone is indifferent, they may have and show you ways of being, that they alienate themselves. Let's see, indescribable, right? You can't describe people like that. They decide that they are who they are. But when you have someone that's indifferent, it says that they may have alienated themselves. They may have, they're apathetic. It says that they may be disdained by what they see or by what they hear. Disinterested. Don't involve them. They're going to let you know. It says inattention, and I think Debbie earlier put it inattentive. Inattention, same thing. It is inattention. Disregard, meaning the war can be going on around them, and they'll watch the war, but they're never going to be the one that says, here's how we get to an end where everybody is okay. They're not going to worry about it. They don't. Disregard and have a sense of being nonchalant, meaning, okay, sorry y'all feel that way. See you at the next fight. It's like you understand people have their own way of living life. For myself personally, I need a peaceful environment. So it's okay that you not say anything, but by you, being in a position to say something and you don't, I excuse me, I get that. But if you're part of the problem and you're the one everybody's arguing about or being frustrated over, then that becomes a double whop. Okay, because you have to try to speak up for yourself, and that you can only speak up for yourself. You can't speak up for other people, so you don't know how they really feel. And especially if they're disengaged, and unwilling to allow people in, then you just don't know. But I don't know if anyone has seen, like, especially over the holidays, they said there's usually a lot of people during the holidays that goes through, that feeling of, isolation, depression, anxiety, aloofness, So I'm hoping that since the holidays are over, that people that want to be, cared about and cared for are back in the game of, assigning themselves a smile and a handshake or a hug, even if it's virtually. You don't have to hug people physically, but if you can send them something that just says something about them of care and what I would say, some happiness for the future, put out those words. They're always good. People like to hear that you want them to do well. You really do. So anyway, that's my word for today. So I want you all to see if you can, stay left, right, clear of ennui, which is that period of boredom. Find something to do. Find people that, you have something in common with, something that makes you laugh, something makes you smile, something that engages you, Um, and even over the holiday, after I finally realized that I did have a cold and everything, I took the time that even if I was coughing, I still would cover up my cough. I didn't go out, cover up my cough, but I would call a few people just to say, hey, hope you're doing well. I'm getting over this, Yeah, I take the prayers. Certainly, certainly, certainly. So that I still remained engaged because I believe that you have to put up an effort or put out an effort to be loving and kind and be in a position where you're wishing that on others as well. But anyway, this has been a good session. I hope you enjoyed it. If you don't do anything else, hit the share button and let this be shared so that people know that Dr. Winnie is here just to shed a little light on some words we should know and can know and be able to have conversations with anybody, even the ones that may be in that state of ennui. Okay? Love you guys. I will see you on Friday. Can't believe it's already Wednesday. We're like, it's moving too fast. Anyway, I love you guys. Okay? Have a wonderful. Bye-bye.